everybody on YouTube. How's it going there? It's, uh, it's Rob Johnson. I'm back here again with another video. If you will for me, please like, comment, subscribe, show me love, all that good stuff. I post videos every Monday, so uh, I know I was a little off with the last video that was on Wednesday because of the download time, but I do post videos every Monday. So anyone who's wants to learn about writing, uh, creating characters, all that fun stuff, anything about literature, I am going to be posting, like I said, every Monday. So the video I wanted to get into today is a video about creating characters for your story. Like, I know a lot of people who are intimidated by writing. They kind of ask, what, like, how do I create a character? What does it take to create a character? And then not only that, what does it take to make an interesting character and keep that interest throughout an entire novel, whether it's 20 chapters, 30, 40 chapters,
Man, let me see the phone.
and
Why you
the
keep messing with
biggest
stuff?
thing is that when you're actually creating a character, the thing you have to understand is you have to make them interesting. You want your as the reader, you want us to follow that
Quit hitting
character.
stuff. Here.
So let me kind of go up and pull some stuff up here because your character has to be interesting. You basically want, and then not only that, not only do you make them interesting, but you essentially have that character write the story, in other words. So, like, whatever your character's interests are, whatever type of situations they get into, you write those situations for your character, and you write difficult situations for your character. Um, so that way, when they have to get out of those situations, it's a challenge. And not only that, that pulls in the reader more. It's always good to put your character through something. I mean, could you imagine reading a book where your character doesn't go through anything in life? Like, they have no worries, they have no struggles, nothing like that. That's a boring character. Nobody wants to read that book. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. And it's not necessarily has to be anything physical too. Um, there is they could it could be a physical force they're against. It could be something metaphysical, something spiritual. Uh, it could be a inner struggle. Um, it could be a story about somebody paying their bills and they're struggling to come up with the money somehow, and that character could be like a thief or something like that, or it could be a slacker who refuses to get a job and decides to find other means to come up with the money, possibly illegal means. So you see what I did right there. So with that character, that was just a character I made up on the fly. So pretty much like, and it's I mean it's a cookie cutter character, but the interesting thing about that character now is he has flaw. This character, he has flaws to him. He's lazy. He doesn't want to get a job. He knows he has to pay his rent. So in his mind, he feels like the easiest way to get it is to get it illegally. So you, as the reader, now you're invested. You're like, man, I wonder how he's going to get this money illegally. So that's usually how I create my characters. Usually, like when you have to give them character arcs, and a character arc is essentially like, so what a character arc pretty much does is that character that um, that character is going to they're going to evolve, or they're going to run into a situation that changes them by the end of the book. So when you run into this character is one way. You're like, man, this character is nasty. This character is evil. mean spirited, doesn't really care about anybody but themselves, and then by the end of the book, they're the maybe they run into like this really traumatizing situation throughout the course of the story that changes them as a character, and then suddenly they become they have a redemption. That's what they call a redemption arc. You have your redemption arc, which has your character. Uh, the character pretty much comes out and goes like, okay, yeah, I went through all this stuff, but but I learned something in the end. And again, that makes your character very interesting when they learn stuff, when they have flaws, because as human beings, like nobody's perfect. And then not only that, if you read a perfect story about a perfect character where nothing happens to them at all throughout the entire book, your reader is going to sit there and they're going to doze off because that's not a very interesting story dynamic. So, so, and then of course you got to give your characters some interesting things to go through that will change them based on what's going on. So, just going over notes here, y'all. I'm sorry. Just bear with me. All right. So, um, so one arc, and this is actually an arc I'm working on in my story. So one arc is the lie that your character believes. So when we talk about the lie that your character believes, um, again, going back to the example I just made, the lie that this lazy slacker feels like the only way he can get money at this point is to get it illegally. That's the easy way to get it, and that's the lie your character tells himself, right? Because we all know, getting money illegally is, well, it's illegally obtained. So, and we know that there are consequences to that. You look at this character like, man, why don't you just go get a job? But that, and again, and that could be his redemption arc towards the end, is he finally decides like maybe he's did like some time or something like that at the end of the arc, and then he goes like, you know what, getting or let's even tell it better than this. Let's go like he he goes into a store after he's already been in jail and everything. He goes to the store. He sees something he really wants to obtain. He goes to take it, but then he thinks about the time that he was locked up. So he decides not to take it, and instead he decides to go to that same store and ask for a job application. Boom, and it ends like that. See, so that kind of, so what that shows is your character, that's his arc. He, throughout the course of his story, he learned something. He learned something, and he decided to change his situation, and he decided to do a better solution. That's his resolution arc. Is he decided to go get a job. So it basically, that's how it pretty much works. And I try to use, when I write my characters, I try to use that same principle. I try to apply that to everybody, because that's what's going to make, again, people gravitate towards your character. That's what is going to make people love your character, is the fact that they're going to, throughout the course of the story, they're going to go through things that's going to change them as a person. Or I've read books where characters don't change, and that is actually another good arc too, because maybe that character is just who they are and they don't care, what situation it does, and then something happens to them at the end or something. So that's another good arc you could use too. Um, and
Come here, Zach.
yeah, and I'm sorry, y'all. His granddaughter. So maybe like in like right now I'm writing my story, Selena, and there the main character, she um her family history is a lie, but in her mind, she was wired to believe that everything is true. And then as the story progresses, secrets start unfolding where she's like, man, what if everybody else is right and my family is wrong? So that, and because of those secrets, it slowly begins to change her character, the way she sees the world. Um, so I'm trying to see if, and then this is always a good one, man. Yeah, the thing your character wants versus the thing that they need. And okay, and then basically, this is the lie that this is, so the lie basically drives them through the story, right? So the thing that they want is the lie. Like they want to believe this lie, and but what they need is the truth, the actual what's going on here, um, the thing that will change them throughout the course of the story. So okay, so cause and effect, and this is a big one. Man, this is a big one. I love this one. So cause and effect basically is when your character does something that causes something to happen, but then because that thing caused that thing to happen, then it causes this thing to happen, and now your character has to fix everything that is happening. So again, and and now this puts your character in that situation like, man, how are they going to get out of this one? Oh man, I cannot believe uh, such and such put themselves through this situation. How do they plan on getting out of it? Uh, and like I said, in this type of situation, makes your character more interesting, and this makes people want to read your book more. This is pretty much these are all page turning events. This is pretty much what you want to do because again, if your character's not going through anything at all in the book, it's going to be boring. No one's going to read it, and your character's going to be boring. Okay, so okay, and first impressions. So first impressions pretty much is how it's basically how your character is introduced to the reader. So when your character first bursts in and they make a good first impression, it's like okay, now you got my attention. Now I got to read. Now I have to read this more. Um, it's uh, good example. I just read what book was that I read? I read what was a good example of that? I want to say was it Clockwork Orange was the book I read. So I read that, and when it first comes in, it's like okay, this dude he's talking weird. He has an odd he has an odd way of like saying certain slang words and stuff like that, and him and his buddies are going around doing crazy stuff. And this is how the book is starting out. So, and he narrates the whole thing, but just the way they introduce that character, now I'm intrigued. I'm like, okay, this is pretty much how it is at the beginning. So now I want to keep reading, even though that book is really hard to read. That book is very hard to read, but I got through it. It like so it, that's a prime example of your protagonist making a first impression. Okay, so that's pretty much it here. I think that's all I'm gonna do. Yeah. So all right. Uh, can we squeeze some more in? Because I don't want to make this video too long. Okay. Okay. And I want to get to that one too that I told you guys about because I actually know about this already. So this is the one where your character does not change at all. That is known as the flat arc. And I've learned about this quite a bit. It's where your character goes through everything and they don't change one bit. And and again, another perfect example of that is A Clockwork Orange, because by the end of the book, the character is still the same character. They didn't really, they kind of learned something, but they kind of didn't. Um, like their situation that they went through just never changed them. Uh, so they basically this character this character pretty much has their mind already made up at the beginning of the book, and then by the end of the book, it never really clicks. It's like, okay, yeah, I already know, like nothing's going to change me for who I am, or what it is. I think these arcs are a little trickier to pull off. um, but yeah, once you get them down, man, it's if you could do it right, it's actually pretty easy. It makes the character more interesting, I think, in my opinion, too. I think either character art makes your character interesting, just as long as you use some form of art or something to keep your readers hooked. So I think that's it. I pretty much went on for 16 minutes here, but um, again, uh, this was creating characters. If you have any other suggestions that you want to add, also, like I said, we can definitely talk about it in the comments section. Again, I appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe on this video. And I just gotta ask, what character arcs do you want to add? Like, do you have any characters that you're writing or working on? So put them down in the comment section. If you want to describe them to me, that's great also. If you want to describe a character that you've written a book, definitely comment that as well too. Just to kind of give like some examples to those who are unfamiliar with characters and character arcs. Just go ahead and put it down in the comment section. Again, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video.